The 2000 film Me, Myself, and Irene is such a hilarious adventure. Seriously, this is probably one of my favorite movies from Jim Carrey just because of how great he is in his role as Charlie and Hank. Definitely a cult classic, and this one still holds up pretty well, even more than 2 decades later. Directed by the Farley brothers, the story of this one is that Charlie Bailey Gates, he's always been taking advantage of everybody in his life. His wife cheats on him, he is constantly put down, he never stands up for himself. So after years of suppressing his rage and feelings and not talking about it, his split personality Hank comes out, causing a lot of chaos situations along the way. And from there, it's one of the most well-known comedic movies from the early 2000s. When I first saw this a long time ago, I burst out laughing just because how hilarious Jim Carrey is in this. Just seeing Charlie deal with his alternate personality, Hank, it's kind of unfortunate in many ways, but at the same time, Hank ends up saving several situations throughout this one. Even though there isn't strong character development here, that's not meant to be. This is just a 116-minute comedic movie where a whole lot of absurd things goes on. And while the story is not great, I wouldn't call this a bad film, nowhere near it. It's entertaining, it's fun, and it's just straight up funny from beginning to end. Despite how much I do like this movie, I don't think it's the best that the Farley brothers have worked on. Some better examples I'll probably say is There's Something About Mary and Shallow Hal, just because of how powerful messages that those two movies have. Now, Jim Carrey, he actually does a great job in his role as Charlie and Hank. I felt bad for Charlie in the beginning. Not only does his wife Layla cheats on him with the limo driver, might add, but she gives birth to biracial babies who are actually the limo driver's kids. Speaking of which, Layla, I hate that character. She's terrible. Not only did she leave her kids, but the way she just didn't care just by leaving. But one of the most funniest moments in this movie is when Hank actually tries to fight a baseball player because he threw a cigarette butt on the ground. I was like, look at him just acting all goofy with throwing the fist. That's why Jim Carrey was perfect for this role, because his mannerisms work for a film like this. Now, I will say the chemistry between Renee Zellweger and Jim Carrey is alright. I mean, it's not terrible, but I don't really felt that chemistry here. I just thought it could have been a little bit better. The antagonists of this film, played by Chris Cooper, Richard Jenkins, and Daniel Green, they're alright as well. Nothing to write home about, it's just there to move the plot forward, and of course, for these three villains to chase after Charlie, Hank, and Irene. But some other funny characters is actually Jamal Lee Harvey and Sanjay Jr. I like the three actors in this film, especially Anthony Anderson and Gerard Minson, definitely highlights here. I like how these three kids, they have a great relationship with their father. Even if Charlie wasn't their biological father, they have a strong, loving relationship here, and it actually shows. And not just that though, but another character I want to point out is Casper, aka Whitey, played by Michael Bowman. He does a decent job here. He just doesn't get a whole lot of screen time. But he does explain his backstory, but I wanted to know more about that character. Plus, how cool would it have been if he actually was with Charlie and Irene, and of course Hank, all throughout this film. But I get that this film doesn't have a long runtime. And actually, it works for his benefit, because had this one been like, I don't know, 2 hours, it would have got pretty tiresome at that point. Overall, this one is alright by me. Not one of the best movies from Jim Carrey, even though I said it's one of my favorites because, well, I just thought there are some things that could have been improved upon, but this is still a great comedic film from beginning to end. I'm giving this film a 6 out of 10. It's a Jim Carrey film you could just sit down on a typical night and just enjoy it for what it is. I thought some of these characters could have been better, but I don't despise this one. Sure, it has its entertaining moments, but it's not as memorable compared to some of the earlier Jim Carrey movies. And that is my review of Me, Myself, and Irene. Alright, leave your comments down below in the section and let me know what you think about this movie. Okay, this is Slum Guy 172 saying peace. Peace out.